Hello everyone. I know this is not the usual way of making a video for this channel, but I really felt like hopping on here to tell you what happened. I just got home from a very long trip. I was on a holiday and of course, what do you do when you have a reef aquarium at home with live animals? You immediately open the door and run to your tank to make sure the fish and corals are doing well. Well, I opened my bedroom door and immediately noticed that aquarium there. See the cloudy water? I knew something went horribly wrong. So of course, what do you do when you have 3 aquariums and only one has cloudy water? Well, of course, you run to the aquarium with cloudy water because something is wrong. That's what I did, and when I got closer I noticed a lot of coral skeletons, bleached corals, and I knew the tank crashed. Let's take a closer look at the aquarium and see if anything survived and yeah, what's next. So at first glance it looks like we've lost a significant amount of corals. We've lost some SPS corals and LPS corals, but it looks like most soft corals are doing quite well actually. So that's surprising. So what I think happened is I recently started dosing some nitrates and phosphates because my tank was lacking them. They were always at zero. Zero phosphates, zero nitrates, and of course having low nutrients is good because if you have high nutrients it can cause all kinds of problems. Well, if you have no nutrients that can also cause problems like tissue loss and coral bleaching. I think I may have dosed a little bit too much right before I left. This may have caused the SPS corals to bleach and maybe die off, and that led to elevated nitrate levels, phosphate levels, which then caused other SPS and LPS corals to just fall apart basically. They died off. So for example, the Cinerina right here, that was one of the biggest corals inside this aquarium. Well, you can imagine that if a coral of that size dies and all the tissue starts to just decompose, that's going to lead to quite some problems in a tank of this size without any filtration or skimmer. So what I think I'll do is I'll just pick them up one by one, see if they're okay, and I'll quickly rinse them in this container with fresh salt water out of my other tank, and let's just start. We'll start off with this soft coral. Right, it looks like it's pretty clean. We'll just give it a quick rinse. And we'll then go ahead and put it in my 40 gallon. This coral looks fine, thankfully. So up next is this mushroom coral. Also pretty easy to keep, and yeah, it's a little bit retracted, but I think it will be fine. We'll add it to the container with fresh salt water. I recently added my fox coral, a rare fox coral, to this aquarium because it wasn't doing well in my 40 gallon. And it looks like it didn't make it here. Lots of loose tissue. And it will probably just keep on decomposing, I guess. I don't think it's worth adding it to the other tanks, because it might just cause the same thing inside the other reef tanks. I'll add the mushrooms and some other soft corals to this aquarium because I don't want to overstock my 40 gallon. There's quite some cyanobacteria going on in this aquarium. This was a problem before I left, so I kinda expected it to look like this. But we're working on it. I had some dinos in this aquarium, so I made sure to let the tank get dirty, and hopefully the cyanobacteria just outcompete the dinos. And that seems to be working. I noticed something on the floor and I immediately knew what it was. One of my gobies jumped out of the aquarium. I had a top on the aquarium, but somehow they just managed to jump out through a small tiny gap in the cover. It happened quite often before, but I was always able to save it because they usually did it at night, just before I went to bed to go to sleep. But yeah, this fella is dried up and there's no way in reviving it. It's very unfortunate. I think I'll never try gobies again in this aquarium. Oh man, it's in rough shape. Wow, it isn't looking good. Oh well. We'll try and save it. It may have a chance at pulling through. We'll add this piece to this aquarium as well, because I don't want to risk basically nuking the 40 gallon. Let's make sure it has some room. Yeah, it looks like the tissue is staying on, so that's a good sign. I think I'll just glue most of these frags to the reef as soon as I know they are okay. And we'll just basically set up the crash tank again. Because we've had problems since the beginning, basically. We've had the anemones go inside the wave makers. Well, that didn't do any good. And yeah, now it is. There's just a spell on the aquarium, I guess. We'll now take out one of the largest pieces of coral. Well, basically it's a colony of lots of corals. Polytoas. I took these out of the 40 gallon because they were overgrowing and they are pretty invasive to the reef, so I didn't want them in there anymore. I'm not sure what to do with it yet. I'll just leave it right here. So we took out the corals that were worth saving. Yeah, some of them, like the Cinerina right here. Yeah, there's no way that will recover. The mouth is completely destroyed, and there are a lot of snails and other type of nasty stuff surrounding it. So, but we also have some snails in this aquarium, some sand sifting snails. They seem to be alive, so we'll just pick them off the rocks and out of the sand and give them alive inside one of the other tanks. I'll probably add them to the 40 gallon because these snails right here, they are called bumblebee snails and they eat vermitid snails, which is an invasive pest that can irritate corals, which will then cause them to retract, starve and eventually die. There they go, into their new home. The live corals and live animals are out of the aquarium. The first thing I'll do in the morning tomorrow is go to the local fish store and buy some fresh salt water and yeah, basically drain the whole tank, do a water change on the other aquariums, and we'll just rescape and redo that whole aquarium. Please don't mind this cover. I'm still looking for a custom net cover, because I think that will look so much better. For now, we'll just give them some rest, because obviously the corals are pretty stressed out right now. They were fighting for their lives inside the crashed aquarium. So it's been a little bit over 3 hours and most of the corals are looking so much better already. I think these have a great chance at actually pulling through and recovering. The Trachophilia, for example, was in rough condition when I got out of the tank, but looks like it has its feeder tentacles out, which is a very good sign. Great improvement. The soft corals over here, they look normal, as if nothing happened. The polyps are all open. These hairy mushrooms, well, they're having a rough time. They haven't recovered yet. But yeah, as you can see, we have another problem in this aquarium. Lots of bubble algae on the reef itself. We'll probably be able to get rid of it with some emerald crabs and by removing them. by hand. On this channel I feature the fun times of keeping a reef and, well, the sad parts of reef keeping, because it's not always fun.